Alright, we got us a 2017 Jeep Wrangler with a 3.6 with the typical oil filter housing leaking. But I really wanted to make this video to show you guys, if you got a 3.6 Chrysler, you're losing oil and you can't figure out why, more than likely it's going to be your oil filter housing and your oil cooler. Just change them both. I wanted to make this video really to show the reason for the leak. If you see, this is your old one. Try to get where the sun ain't gonna bother me too much. If you see how flat those are now, this one and this one is pretty bad, but this one right here, there's really no lip to it at all. It's already flattened out and smooth, and that's going to cause a major leak. When you buy this, I know Amazon sells them really cheap, and I'm not knocking it. If you ain't got the money to pay $300 for a Mopar one, by all means do what you can do or what you got to do. But if you do got the money, save yourself some time and some headache. Buy a Mopar oil filter housing. You see the protrusion on these rings right there, how they have a lip on them. Also, another thing that's going to save you a headache is get you a little bit of oil and just rub it around these rings, each one, and this O-ring here, rub you a little oil around that. That's going to help them to seal up, and it's going to be a lot less headache. Now, this job is not the worst job in the world, but it is definitely a pain, removing the lower intake and the upper intake. If you don't have any kind of mechanical skills at all, maybe you should let someone else do it. But I mean, I'd say if you've wrenched on some things and you've got a general knowledge, there's no reason you can't do this at home. One thing I try to do whenever I remove the upper intake, I go ahead and stuff shop towels in this so that if a washer or a bolt or something falls, it ain't going to drop down into your valves. And then after I get it off, I do the same thing with the block. Now, I'll tell you another thing I do, and I've been in the situations where it saved my butt. Pull these shop towels out before you set that lower intake on, run you a magnet down in there where them valves are. I had a Ford one time. I had put the intake all back together, and before I crunk it, I realized I didn't do something. I can't remember exactly what it was I didn't do, but I ended up pulling the intake back off, and I was in a rush when I put it on the first time, and thankfully I forgot whatever it was I forgot, because when I pulled it back off the second time going back together, I run a magnet through there, and sure enough, there was a metal washer sitting on the number 1 valve. And had I started that vehicle, I would have detonated that engine pretty much. So always just take your time and be a little bit more careful. This isn't a how-to video. This was just pretty much to show you, if you do got an oil leak and you can't figure it out and you don't see it, or if you got an oil leak and you got oil running off the back of the block over the top of the transmission and wrapped it around the transmission like this customer did, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be your filter housing. So that's what this video was pretty much about. It wasn't a how-to, but if y'all need a how-to, maybe I can get one out there later on. I was just in a rush today and decided to make this video to show the reason and what to look for. Thank y'all.